You wake up, you check your phone. 17 messages from that colleague who's decided you're the problem of his existence. Detailed accusations, written at 3 in the morning with the passion of a prosecutor who's just uncovered the crime of the century. Your first instinct? To respond. Point by point. Quote by quote. Screenshot in hand. Maybe even with a few angry emojis to emphasize how right you are. And he's dead wrong. Here, stop. Breathe. Because you're about to do exactly what that person wants. You're about to enter the ring they've built for you, with their rules, their imaginary audience, and their desperate need to hear you justify yourself. And the moment you hit that send button, you've already lost. You haven't lost the argument. That verbal battle you thought you were supposed to win, you've lost something far more precious: control. Today I'll show you a strategy that seems counterintuitive, almost absurd. A tactic so powerful that it's worked for 500 years. Through papal courts, modern offices, toxic group chats, and family dinners where someone always decides to become the unsolicited therapist on duty. It's not complicated. It doesn't require special training. You don't have to read manuals or take €299 online courses. You simply have to learn to shut up, but not passively. Not like one who endures. Like one who knows. Like one who has understood that silence is not empty. It is a weapon, and those who wield it well don't need to fire a shot to see their enemies self-destruct before their eyes. If you're tired of justifying yourself to people who don't even deserve a response, leave a like now. That way, I know you already understand where we're going. Let's start with a simple principle that your brain knows, but your mouth systematically ignores. When you defend yourself, you've already agreed to be on trial. You've just signed an invisible contract that says, "This person has the right to judge me." You've taken the position of the defendant who must prove his innocence. And guess who the judge is? That's right, the same person attacking you. Think about the last time someone accused you of something. At work, at home, online, anywhere. Do you remember that immediate feeling? That fire that starts in your stomach and rises to your throat? Those sentences that form so quickly in your head. But that's not true. But I do. But you don't know that. Your entire body prepares for verbal battle. The repline. Your adrenaline pumps. Your hands may tremble slightly. Your voice rises a notch without you even realizing it. This is the trap. This is when you lose. Not when the other person accuses you, but when you respond as if you had to respond. Because the very second you start justifying yourself, explaining, listing evidence of your innocence, you're communicating something devastating to everyone present, including yourself. This person has power over me. You're saying, without words but with every action, that their opinion matters enough to force you to change it. And your brain? Your brain records all this. There's a neurological mechanism called cognitive subordination. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. When you take a defensive stance, your nervous system automatically places you in a lower hierarchy than those who attack you. It's not a conscious choice. It's hardwired into your primitive brain, which for millions of years had to quickly figure out who's in charge of the group and who obeys. Think of our ancestors. In the tribe, the one who had to explain their actions was always the one who had done something wrong. The chief didn't explain. The respected warrior didn't justify. The wise elder didn't list the reasons why he deserved respect. They simply existed in their position. And others recognized that position. Only those under scrutiny, those who had broken a rule, those suspected of treason, were allowed to speak. And they spoke a lot. Too much. Desperately. So when you leap to defend yourself today, you're activating millions of years of social programming that screams, "I'm in a subordinate position." And everyone senses it. Those who attack you sense it and increase the pressure. Those who observe see it and unconsciously place you lower on the respect scale. And you yourself feel it. even if you deny it, in that sense of growing anxiety, as you speak faster and faster, with ever more detail, trying to convince people who have already decided not to listen to you. But there's another, even more fascinating dynamic. The one that happens in the brain of those who attack you when you don't respond. When you, instead of jumping into the ring prepared for you, simply observe, silently, calmly, maybe even with a hint of curiosity in your eyes. As if you were watching a child throwing a tantrum at the supermarket because he wants candy. Their brains literally short-circuited. They expected either defense or counterattack. They had mentally prepared for both scenarios. They already had responses to your probable justifications ready. They had imagined the verbal escalation, the point at which they would raise their voice even further, the devastating final phrase they would use to end the confrontation in glory. And you deny them all this. You take away their script. You leave them with their rehearsed lines dying in their throats. And what does the human brain do when it loses the script? It improvises. Badly. Terribly. It begins to fill the silence with its own fears. It's called projection. And it becomes your best ally. Remember the last time you sent someone an important message and they didn't respond for hours? Did your brain think, "Oh, they're probably busy. They'll get back to me when they can"? No. Your brain thought, "They're mad at me." Or, "They've decided I'm not worth their time." Or, "They're talking badly about me to others." Your mind constructed 10 negative scenarios before even considering the simplest, most innocent option. This happens because the human brain hates a vacuum. It hates uncertainty. And when it lacks information, it invents it, almost always negative. It's a survival mechanism. Better to prepare for the worst and be wrong about something positive than to be caught unprepared by a real danger. Now imagine using this against someone who attacks you. You stand there, calm, breathing normally. You look at them. You say nothing. Seconds tick by. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Every second is an eternity for their nervous system. They're waiting for your reaction so they can know how to respond. It doesn't come. Their minds start racing. Why isn't he responding? Does he know something I don't? Did I make a mistake attacking him? Do I look ridiculous now? Is he planning a terrible revenge? And the longer the silence goes on, the more deafening those voices in their heads become. Their levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, skyrocket, 400% higher than normal. Their bodies go into alarm mode. Heart rate accelerates. Palms sweat. Voices tremble slightly. But they have no clear enemy to fight. Because you're not fighting. So all that energy is directed against themselves. They start making mistakes. They repeat the same accusations with slightly different words, hoping that a different wording will finally force you to respond. They raise their voice, trying to provoke you. They look around for support from others present, and often, very often, these desperate actions expose them for exactly what they are: out of control. People attacking someone who clearly doesn't feel threatened. This is where the cruelest dynamic comes into play. The one that transforms your silence from a simple inaction into a devastating psychological weapon. Because while they lose control and you remain calm, something else is happening in the room, or in the chat, or wherever this scene is unfolding. Other people are shifting their attention. At first, they were looking at you. They were waiting for your response. Maybe some of them even agreed with your attackers. Maybe they truly thought you needed to explain that thing, justify that action, defend that choice. But after 10 seconds of your calm silence, after you looked at your accuser with that calm, almost kind expression, after you let their words dissipate in the air without clinging to anything, the questions change. They no longer ask, "Is the accuser right?" They ask, "Why is this person so upset? What does he gain from all this?" Why does he so desperately need a reaction? The focus has shifted. You are no longer the accused. You have become the calm observer of a situation spiraling out of someone else's control. And them? They have become the problem. This reversal is something called emotional jujitsu in psychology. In martial arts, jujitsu teaches you to use your opponent's strength against him. The harder you hit, the harder he falls when you deflect it. You don't match force with force. You redirect energy. You let it pass. And that same energy ends up knocking your attacker to the ground. The same is true in psychological dynamics. The more someone pushes you emotionally, the more energy they invest in attacking, the more devastating their collapse will be when that energy meets no resistance. There's no wall to heroically crash against, just emptiness. And into emptiness, people fall. I'll show you how it works in 3 real-world situations. 3 battlefields where every day someone loses power, reputation, and respect because they don't understand this dynamic. And where you, from now on, can win without even opening your mouth. First situation: the office. Important meeting. The boss, a few colleagues, and perhaps a few clients are present. And there's him, or her, that person who has decided that your success is a personal affront to their existence. They wait for the right moment, when everyone is listening, and drop the bombshell. The project failed because you didn't listen to my advice. I told you it wouldn't work out that way. Boom. Silence in the room. Everyone's looking at you. The perceived temperature rises 10 degrees. Your heart races. Your hands want to gesticulate. Your mouth wants to open and pour out a torrent of objections. The data doesn't say that. Actually, the problem was something else. You weren't there when, if only I had. Instead, you breathe. You look that person in the eye. You count to 5 in your head. The room is so quiet you can hear the hum of the air conditioner. 6 seconds. 7. 8. The accuser begins to look slightly uncomfortable. He expected an immediate reaction. 9 seconds. 10. And then, in a perfectly neutral, almost gentle tone of voice, I understand that this is important to you. Period. Nothing else. You return your attention to the next project, or whatever else was being discussed. What happened? You just communicated several things to the entire room without saying them explicitly. First, you don't feel threatened by this person. Second, their emotions don't control you. Third, you don't even feel it's necessary to address their accusations. It's as if a child had told you you stole the moon and you had simply smiled and continued with your day. And that person? He just burned his credibility. Because he launched a public attack on someone who didn't even consider it necessary to defend himself. In the eyes of everyone else, especially your boss, you've just gone from a possible culprit to someone so confident in his position that he doesn't even have to justify it. And the accuser has gone from a courageous bearer of the truth to an emotionally unstable person who throws tantrums in meetings. Second situation: dinner with friends. Or worse, family dinner. That social situation where someone decides it's the perfect time to put you on trial in front of everyone. You always think you're better than us, don't you? It shows in the way you talk, the way you act. A classic attempt at social dominance, disguised as emotional sincerity. They want to corner you. They want you to justify yourself, to defend yourself, to explain that no, you don't feel superior, that you're actually incredibly humble. Look how humble you are. And every word you say in defense confirms that they were right. Because a person who truly doesn't feel superior wouldn't even feel the need to defend themselves from that accusation. Instead, smile slightly. A real smile, not a sarcastic one. You look at that person with genuine curiosity and say, "What makes you think that?" It's not a defense. It's not a counterattack. It's a question. Simple, direct, and lethal. because now that person has to explain. They have to articulate the reasons for their accusation. And 99 times out of 100, when people have to explain why they attacked someone, they end up revealing much more about themselves than about the person being attacked. Well, why do you talk that way? What way? That way. As if. What? You keep asking. Kindly. With curiosity. And at a certain point, the truth comes out in front of everyone. They don't feel threatened by your attitude. They feel insecure about their own. Their accusation wasn't an objective observation. It was a projection of their fragile self-esteem. And you, simply by asking questions without defending yourself, made them reveal it themselves. The group, which at first might have been inclined to attack you to ease tension, now regards you with respect, because you've demonstrated something rare: the ability to remain calm and collected while someone was trying to drag you through the emotional mud. And that person who attacked you, he just lost credibility for the next 6 months of dinners. Third situation. Online. The modern battlefield, where everyone is a general, and no one has any consequences. Someone writes a post about you, or a comment, or a fake review, or a message in a shared group. They attack you publicly. Maybe with half-truths, maybe with outright lies, maybe just with poisonous insinuations, vague enough not to technically constitute defamation. Your finger wants to type. It wants to write a 2,000-word papyrus explaining point by point why that person is wrong, dishonest, pathetic, jealous, and disturbed. You want screenshots. You want evidence. You want witnesses. You want to publicly destroy their credibility so much that you can walk all over it laughing. And yet, you do nothing. You don't reply. You don't comment. You don't share to complain to your followers. Absolute silence. As if that post, that comment, that person simply didn't exist in your universe. At first, someone who knows you might message you privately. Did you see what he wrote? Yes. And you're not responding? No. But he said that. I know. And you don't add anything else. What happens in the days that follow? The person who attacked you begins to seem obsessed because they keep talking about you, trying to provoke you, posting other things, and you still don't exist for them. And each new attempt makes them seem more and more desperate. Their friends start telling them, perhaps privately, "But forget it. He's not even replying to you." And she says, "Exactly. See how arrogant he is?" But the public narrative isn't reading arrogance. It's reading a person who has more important things to do than respond to provocations. And then something beautiful starts to happen. Other users, who don't even know you, start defending you. Why are you pursuing him if he doesn't even care about you? It seems like you're much more invested in him than he is in you. And the person who attacked you finds themselves having to defend their own behavior instead of attacking yours. You won without saying a word. You have an army of defenders you never recruited. And everything you did was nothing. Literally nothing. Now, if you really want to master this strategy, you have to understand that there are levels. And the more you master it, the more it becomes an art. Level 1, defensive silence. You simply don't respond. You hold back the urge. You bite your tongue. You grit your teeth if necessary. At this level, you're still feeling the full force of the attack, the anger, the frustration, the injustice. Inside, you're screaming, but on the outside, you remain silent. It's difficult. It's uncomfortable. Your body wants to react, but you control yourself. This alone transforms 80% of your conflictual interactions, because even if you're suffering internally, you appear calm on the outside. And in the eyes of others, especially those who don't know you well, external calm equals internal calm. You sense power even if you don't truly feel it yet. Level 2, Strategic redirection. You don't just keep quiet. You use questions. You're curious. You shift the focus from the content of the attack to the attacker's emotional state. Why is this so important to you? What do you hope to gain from this conversation? What would make you feel better about this situation? At this point, you've begun to enjoy the process a little, because you see the effect your questions have on the other person. You see them lose confidence. You see them stumble over their answers. You see them realize, maybe just for a second, that they haven't really thought about what they were trying to achieve. They just wanted to hurt you. And you're pointing this out to them without directly accusing them. Level 3. The impervious presence. At this level, you no longer even pretend to be calm. You are calm. Genuinely. Because you have understood, deeply, viscerally, that most attacks aren't about you. They're about the insecurity, frustration, and unresolved pain of the attacker. And from this understanding, a kind of compassion is born. Not condescending pity. True compassion. When someone attacks you, you look at them and see a human being who is suffering and is trying to alleviate their own suffering by making you suffer too. And you simply decide not to play that game. Not because you're better, because you're wiser. At this level, the people around you begin to treat you differently. They speak more carefully. They weigh their words. They seek your approval. They avoid your displeasure. Not because you're aggressive, because you're immovable. But you have to be careful, because this ability can corrupt you. When you become really good at staying calm while others lose control. When you clearly see all the psychological mechanisms at work. When you predict how fights will end just by watching the first few seconds, you can start to feel superior. You can start to view all human interactions as chess games to be won. And you can lose something fundamental. Genuine empathy. The point isn't to become a cold machine that calculates every response to maximize your tactical advantage. The point is to protect your energy and personal power from people who want to steal it. But not all people who challenge you are enemies. Some are simply having a bad day. Some are poorly communicating a legitimate need. Some are seeking connection in the wrong way. True mastery isn't about never responding. It's knowing when your response serves the relationship and when it only serves the other person's ego. It's distinguishing between someone who deserves your silence and someone who deserves your emotional presence. Even if imperfect, even if vulnerable. Use this strategy against bullies, against serial manipulators, against people who have repeatedly demonstrated their disrespect for your boundaries, against those who publicly attack you to gain social status at your expense, against those who use your words against you, regardless of what you say. In these cases, silence is pure power. But with people you love, people you respect, people who have sincerely invested in the relationship with you, sometimes silence is just cruelty disguised as strategy. Sometimes the right response isn't a tactical one, but an honest one. You hurt me when you said that. The difference lies in the intention. Are you choosing not to respond because it's the most effective strategy? Or are you reacting emotionally with silence as a form of passive-aggressive punishment? The former is power. The latter is just another emotional game in a different costume. So here's the real question. The one you need to ask yourself every time someone attacks you, and your finger reaches for the keyboard, or your mouth prepares to speak. Is this person worth my energy? Not, am I right? Not, should I defend myself? Simply put, is this interaction worth my time, my attention, my emotional investment? Because the brutal truth is this. Most of the time, the answer is no. Most of the people who attack you have no real power over your life. They don't decide your career. They don't pay your bills. They don't sleep in your bed. They don't determine your worth. They're simply people with opinions, often wrong, almost always irrelevant, and you're wasting precious energy trying to change those opinions. Energy you could use to build something, to improve something, to love someone, to create, to live. Instead, you're wasting it in a fruitless debate with someone who's already made up their minds and is only seeking the satisfaction of seeing you lose your balance. Disappoint them, frustrate them, deny them that satisfaction, not because you're mean, because you've realized that your time on this planet is limited, and every second spent justifying yourself to those who don't understand you is a second stolen from those who truly love you. This is true freedom. No more convincing. No more proving. No more defending. Simply existing in the certainty of who you are, and letting others interpret it as they wish. Some will love you. Others will hate you. Most will forget you. And all of this is okay, because you're no longer playing the game of other people's opinions. You're living your life. And when you live like this, something strange happens. The people who used to attack you start to stay away, not because you reacted badly, because you didn't react at all. And this scares them. It confuses them. It makes them feel small. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't enter into their drama, who doesn't fuel their need for conflict, who simply exists, impervious to their provocations. So they leave. They find other targets. People who will react, who will play the game, who will give them the emotional release they seek. And you're left with the people who really matter. Those who don't need to attack you to feel important. Who respect you enough to communicate clearly instead of emotionally manipulating. Who see your silence as strength, not arrogance. This is the true power of not defending yourself. You don't defeat your enemies. You make them self-eliminate. You don't fight battles. You make them irrelevant. You don't win arguments. You transcend the need to have them. And ultimately, while everyone else is still mired in endless drama, trying to be right, trying to make others feel guilty, trying to win conversations no one will remember a week from now, you're already 3 steps ahead, building the life you want with the people who deserve your time. And when you look back, you see all those fights you once thought were so important. All those times you lost sleep over someone accusing you of something. All that energy burned on justifications and defenses. And you wonder why you gave all that power to people whose names you now don't even remember. This is the lesson. People don't matter. But their unpaid opinions don't deserve a place of honor in your mind. And they certainly don't deserve you to jeopardize your peace, your dignity, your personal power by desperately trying to change them. So the next time someone attacks you, breathe. Count to 5. Look that person in the eye. And then, consciously decide, is this battle for my life? Or is it just for their ego? If it's the latter, smile inwardly, because you just won without even lifting a finger. And let the silence do the rest, because silence isn't empty. It's full. Full of a certainty that needs no words. Full of a power that doesn't ask permission. Full of a peace that no attack can disturb. And when you possess that silence, you possess something no one can take from you, yourself. So, you've made it this far. And that tells me you're not the type who settles for the usual, pre-packaged motivational strategies. You want real tools. If this video made you see power dynamics in a different light, leave me a like. Not for me. For you. Because pressing that button means you've chosen to opt out of the game of endless justifications. Let me know in the comments. When was the last time you resisted the urge to defend yourself? How did it go? I read everything. And often the best ideas for future videos come from you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about applied psychology, concrete strategies, and that part of human nature they prefer not to teach you. Real stuff. Stuff that works. I hope you find that inner peace that doesn't require convincing. See you in the next video. Remember, silence isn't weakness. It's the most refined form of power.